This episode of Trials and Trebuchets is brought to you by Fanroll Dice. If you're in the market for some new, top-notch dice, and who am I kidding, folks? We're all always on the prowl for some shiny rocks, then look no further than fanrolldice.com. Whether it's their bewitching liquid cores, a pack of trusty misfit medals, or even a set of oh-so-endearing miniature dice, you'll find anything you're looking for and more at fanrolldice.com. And don't forget to use our code TRIALS10 at checkout for 10% off your order of new little crit machines. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 229 of Trials and Trebuchets.
Whoa.
I'm your Dungeon Master, Luke, and joining me are my players.
Hi, my name is Ben, and I play the level 12 gnome wizard pirate Winsler Wallaby
Sailor.
Castaway, along with his cuddly little companion, Mr. Wiggles Seabream.
Oh, hi, I'm Sailor Moon Violet. It's me, Carla, and I play the level 12 Tiefling Roguelocke Integrity Idleberry.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I play Joan Evelyn Kingsley, the dangerous member of the Seahawk gang who had my arm bitten off by a kraken. Don't fuck with Joan.
Whoa. Amazing.
Don't fuck with
Hi,
Joan.
I'm Sam, the only person who decided to enter a castle building contest of my own volition on the sand. And I played level 12 human sorceress Sarah Sinderman.
And last time on Trials and Trebuchets, the trio of Billy, Betty, Knives, Boop, Castaway, and the notorious, infamous bandit and member of the Seahawk gang, Joan Evelyn Kingsley, infiltrated Wishing Star Island's sailor population without a trace of suspicion, while Serenep Sinderman bore witness to a demonstration of the good Dr. Eleanor Winstan's Starlight research. So many complicated names in this one. We find ourselves in a cozy little cabana, only feet away from the white sand beaches of the beautiful Wishing Star Island. The one and only Billy, Betty, Knives, Boop, Castaway, and Joan Evelyn Kingsley. You have been surrounded. You've been welcomed into the wonderful workers of this island, all great sailors who seem to be very much on the up and up. Mira Marchand, you had been telling stories of how you lost your arm, tall tales to entice sailors. In the meantime, Winsler Wallaby and Integrity Idleberry, you were also gathered around in this place, kind of pushed to the periphery as Mira's story took the center stage, as it were. You had just, if you all recall, before entering into this place, been cognizant of the fact that your target, Serenep Sinderman, was up in that tower off on her own, the lighthouse, not tower, some might call it. But right now, or for the past, let's say 20 minutes, things have been relaxing, things have been peaceful. Mira Marchand, you've been able to tell this story, weave your tale, gain renown amongst these people that maybe you can cash in at a later date. Nonetheless, a very slim amount of time has passed. And something that might catch you all, or the something very obvious starts to happen outside. You're all in this little cabana. There's tables. There's a small bar where you can self-serve, pour yourself drinks and the like. And you, Integrity Idleberry, and Winsler Wallaby at the periphery of this small structure might be the first to begin noticing this event taking place. But right now, just past noon, maybe closer, 1, maybe 2 in the afternoon, right? The light of the sun is bright in the sky. There's flashing of beautiful shimmering lights out on the ocean as far as you can see. Additionally, up in the sky next to that brilliant burning sun is, you can see visible in the daylight hours still constellations and stars galore up there. As the two of you kind of stand here, listening to Mira spin her tale and just lie to these people wholesale, you begin to notice that tower, I got it, Sarah. You begin to notice that the light up in the tower, that red pulsing eminence, begins to shine brightly here in the center of the day. Integrity, Winsler, your eyes are drawn up to it. Maybe not incredibly of note. It is a deep scarlet red. It shines out across the ocean. It doesn't go very far right now in the daylight hours, but as it kind of spins around at the top of that tower, it almost is as if the daylight is drained out, and at an ungodly hour, it seems dusk starts to set in. You can see the light of the sun dims. You can see shadows lengthen, that of trees, that of yourself, that of the tower looming over all of the structures here, casting a large shadow. It's evident in the spinning red light growing brighter and brighter, casting its light further and further out to sea. And over the span of probably 30 seconds, it's almost as if it becomes the light at which probably 9 p.m., right? Still a very thin line of sun shining from directly above you, but the world has been cast into a early darkness, one might say. Those stars shining above still retain their luminance here in the darkness, but the sun itself seems almost as if you put like a sunglass or like a film over it, and its brightness has been attenuated. Mira, in the center of this little cabana, sailors are gathered around you, listening to you tell your tale. Cut us off a piece of that. How's it going? How does that
And so then I was inside its mouth, right? And it was like trying to bite down on all of me. But what I actually did is I reached up and I grabbed at its fangs, and I actually just yanked so hard that I pulled one fang out, but it slashed me on the way. And well, you know what happens when a kraken tastes blood. It gagged. It tried to spit me out. I tried to dive out quickly. I ran. My arm didn't make it with me. I screamed, I shrieked, but I would not be cowed. Oh no, because I still had 8 people in the belly of the kraken to rescue.
Oh my
Mira, as you tell this and you're getting into this story, like standing up.
I'm starting to convince myself I was bitten
absolutely.
by a kraken here.
The powers of a bard at work. Mira, a sad thing does so occur to you as you cast your gaze around the cabana itself, and you notice no one's really paying attention to your story anymore. Eyes have drifted away from you. It seemed very subtle at the time, though, with your preoccupation of telling a great story. Maybe it was just not so subtle whatsoever. But you do see people in the slimmest ways. They look away. They still sit at the table facing you, Mira, but their heads look away off towards that lighthouse outside. Some people, ever more brazen, stand and will walk to the edges of this cabana and stand there, and with almost like glazed over eyes and like slack jaws will stare up at the red light. And you see it almost like as it spins, 30, like a couple seconds, spins, a couple seconds, spins. It's almost like it's speeding up as it goes. It seems like it just reflects in their eyes this bright, brilliant red, this scarlet light.
May I try something?
By all means.
Well, I think this seems to be some sort of magical effect that's happening, and I don't have detect magic, but what I do have is detect thoughts, and I'm curious if this is creating some sort of like brainwashing effect on people. I have 1 sorcery point left, so I would like to just subtle spell and attempt to cast detect thoughts on whoever is like closest to me.
Absolutely. There's a person, the person who had originally welcomed you in, Elris, is kind of sitting still, like half leaning back in their chair, eyes glazed over. Go ahead and surface level thoughts, yes?
Yes, I'm not trying to probe deeply, but...
Okay. Mira Marchand, what you hear in this person's head, their eyes seem to be growing ever redder as they stare up at the sky, at this blinking light. What you hear in their head is star bright, almost like chanting to themselves, "Star bright." And you can see, Mira, they are almost like, they seem to be slack-jawed at first appearance, but you can see very subtly they seem to be like mouthing those same two words, not under their breath, but just like along with the chanting that is going on in their head.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm going to, from where I am at the edge, where everybody seems to just like con over to near the edge of the cabana to look at this light, I'm gonna sort of like corral around, and hopefully they don't notice me through everybody to try and like reach Mira.
Absolutely. You can make your way through the crowd. They almost like stand completely, they stand like people in a crowd watching an amazing spectacle. You kind of like bump into a couple and no one remarks in any way. No one looks down at you whatsoever, Winsler. And you can scuttle over to where Mira is sitting at one of these, the table in the very center of this room.
Hey, I think something's going on with that weird light.
Yeah, I was reading their thoughts and it was just this star bright thing, over and over again. So that seems mildly concerning.
That doesn't seem good at all. Where was Sereneth again? They were in the lighthouse too, right?
Yeah, up on top. I don't know if being in it means that you're more or less affected because you can't see the light, but it's certainly worrying.
I think we should probably go grab Integrity and maybe start investigating thoroughly now, because it was so bright out before and now it's all eerily dark.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, as you two even sit here and have this very quick conversation, Mira, you rise from the table you were telling your tale at, and with Winsler can like walk out towards the external perimeter of this building, just walking out through one of the archways, pushing very gently past this crowd of sailors. The two of you can see the dock over yonder where people were working, seemingly getting rigging set up, maybe moving cargo. You see sailors just standing there as well. Ropes like sliding through their hands and dropping into the water, or holding large open crates of cargo and kind of like leaning against it, almost as if they were entranced mid-work and have no mind for or bearing of what is happening external to the light itself, like moths looking at a flame almost. They don't move or pay you any heed as you walk on by.
This might make blending in a little bit more difficult, I think.
And can the two of you make, for me, perception checks as you meander out of this like, it's kind of crowded as you push your way out, but it's not like uber crowded. There might be some stuff you can notice though.
That's a 21. I'm quite perceptive
That's
today.
Brilliant. Wow.
I also got a 21. We're very perceptive.
Wow. Okay. In that case, Winsler Wallaby, as you walk by these and you kind of look at their eyes and look at where they're mouthing stuff, you can see. Let's give you one specific example. There's a dwarf with like a very big beard. It's kind of like knotted, or not knotted, but braided into these brilliant kind of things. There's gems and crystals embedded in there, big coins and pieces and like dice and beads and such. They have a completely shaved head and they have these very big hairy nostrils, and they're staring up, and you can see they have these light brown, almost hazel colored eyes, Winsler Wallaby. And as that light flashes around, you can see a glint in their eyes, and then it's almost as if you were not so perceptible, what's the word I'm looking for? If not for your uncanny perceptive abilities, Winsler, you might have missed this, but it's almost as if their eyes grow 2-3 shades more red. Not so brown any longer. Maybe somewhere between an orange and a yellow at this point. And you can look around and notice that many of the other sailors have these kind of like on the orange or red kind of leaning color to their eyes. And as that light flashes, it grows deeper and deeper. The two people that you can probably notice who have like the deepest coloration of their eyes was that person that had first welcomed you, Elris, the one who was like sitting right next to you, Mira, and then the alluded to person sitting at a table all by themselves, holding a knife in their hand, the one and only Knives, who is now standing slack-jawed with a knife with a bit of blood on it after they had cut themselves, but nonetheless, both of their eyes are a very deep scarlet, notably darker than the rest. Mira Marchand, Winsler notices this stuff, and as you push through the crowd, he stays behind for a second and notices such things. What you, in your abilities, notice, looking out towards those people on the dock, looking towards the tower, kind of eyes glinting and looking everywhere, you notice walking over from that beautiful robin's egg blue beach house, from where you know that he was maybe like 30 minutes ago at the most, you see a very almost disheveled looking Philip Maisel. His hair is like kind of like tousled, almost like someone who had like had their hands in their hair, had been like rubbing their hands through their hair repeatedly, almost like in an anxious kind of thing. His shirt looks kind of unbuttoned and his sleeves are rolled up, and then the pants baggy and also rolled up as if he'd been frolicking around in the water and didn't want the hems getting wet. But he, you can see, Mira, is stumbling forwards away towards the general base of this lighthouse. His eyes looking up, and you can almost like see tears in them, and he seems to be muttering to himself out loud, though he's far away and you can't quite hear. It's quiet, but he seems to be muttering things aloud. He's very much stumbling his way forwards. It looks, as you watch for probably 2 or 3 seconds, he limps forwards, and then you might even see him like fall over onto his knees and begin like crawling forwards on the sand and gravel towards like the base of the lighthouse. As this is happening, and this small crowd is gathered outside, the two of you are kind of looking at these two phenomena and kind of reacting. Mira, did you want to perhaps go over to Philip, or?
I think I would tug, like reach down and kind of tug on Winslow's sleeve and be like, hey, over there.
Is that Philip?
Seems to be.
What's he doing?
I don't know. I don't know if we should help or if that would just draw more. I want to help. I want to help.
I don't think anybody here is really gonna register anything what we're doing.
Yeah, good point.
Let's grab Integrity and see if we can get her to help. You know, maybe we can move him into the cabana away from not in the cabana, but in the house, so that we're
that
not
works.
drawing
That
eyes.
works.
Yeah, the two of you begin to plan and begin
Integrity.
to look around. Meanwhile, on the other side of the cabana, as Winslow has gone away and Mira and him have begun to notice these things, Integrity, Idleberry, you kind of look and see Winslow walk over there. You can take note of these things and then look up at the red light flashing around itself. You take note of the darkness drawing in. Something that you might be able to note beyond anyone else, I think, is how inky black it seems the sky has become. Almost like ink spilled over paper, one might say, as it blots out all of the blue sky and white clouds, leaving only a dark black canvas upon which bright white stars blinking up in the sky are painted. As you look up at these things, you feel a sharp tug on like your belt pulling you backwards.
What was that?
You can turn and immediately see this dark-haired, black-haired, brown-skinned, nose-pierced, eye patch wearing person who moments ago, maybe 10 minutes ago, was standing at the bottom of the lighthouse. They will very quickly put Rhaegar, you might know them as, put a finger up to their lips as if to say, quiet, and will take their hand off your belt and will point over their shoulder to outside of the small settlement towards like where there's some wilderness, where there's some trees and brush cover. And they will begin to walk back a couple of steps hesitantly.
I'm going to just nod to acknowledge that I understood what message is being relayed to me here. And I'm going to slowly slip out.
Okay. As you begin to follow them, they will turn and very quietly, you see them walking over gravel, and it almost makes no sound, even if you're listening very keenly, Integrity, Idleberry. Maybe a jealous pang might grow out through you, and you begin to walk quietly along the gravel just as easily, the two of you sneaking away off into the night. Mira, Windsor Wallaby, as you turn around the side of the cabana where Integrity just was, though the crowd is not very thick, you see that she has gone off and disappeared.
Shoot, I don't know where she went.
Probably not the biggest thing right now. I think we should check on Philip, maybe.
All right, let's go grab him and get him into the house, and we'll see what we can do from there.
Yeah. And I think Mira would sort of start to jog over to Philip.
You can jog over to him. He's like, again, crawling on hands and knees. As you get closer, Mira, I think the thing you first hear him saying would be, stay out of the light, stay. No, don't. And you hear him like almost gag or something, and he stops, and then he'll begin crawling forwards, and you just hear him muttering under his breath, star bright, star bright, star bright.
Hey. And I think that Mira would bend down and sort of try to jostle him very gently by the shoulders.
Absolutely.
Hey, no need to worry about that right now. Why don't we get you into the cabana and we can worry about the lighthouse later. Also, hi, we're here.
Make a persuasion check.
That's an 11 plus 13, 24.
With a 24, you kind of jostle him. You like, are you gonna like kneel down a little bit, or like at least crouch down at the very least? You jostle him. Windsor runs up behind you as well. You put a hand on his shoulder and he kind of like pushes himself up so that he's just like sitting on his knees on the ground, and it kind of like reaches up to your shoulder, and you see like his eyes, brilliant and yellow, glowing. No pupil, no iris, just completely yellow. And this sparkle leaves them for just a couple of moments, and he grabs you by the shoulder very aggressively, and he will say, she's in the tower. She shouldn't be in the tower. She shouldn't be here. None of us should.
Okay.
And he kind of, his eyes roll back, and he makes another one of those gagging sounds, and he'll kind of like flop over onto his side on the gravel, and just his mouth slack-jawed and open, and his eyes staring forwards, not muttering anything else now.
Am I able to sort of get him up to standing and sort of try to lead him toward the cabana, or would he be unmovable or resistant to this?
No, by all means. If you were to pull him upwards, his body does move, but it would be, you're carrying most of his weight as his feet kind of just drag against the ground.
I will help pull.
Yeah,
I'll help drag
Winsler.
this.
By all
limp
means,
Push it on
you
his
can
butt.
grab him by his like knee or butt, I think is what you just said.
Drag him.
Yeah. You can push him over. You're bringing him to the cabana itself, or
The longhouse, I think.
a longhouse, or the beach house,
Yeah,
maybe?
the beach house that he just came out of.
Okay,
I
the beach house is the most private one. That's where Serenith is staying. You can drag him very easily back over there, maybe like 15 feet up the deck, and push open like the screen door. There's a bunch of like cushions on the ground. There's a large 4-pillared bed or banister bed. You can just drop him onto like the soft ground, laying him gently down, and he just has like this rolling, almost like a person who is concussed, I think would be the best way to say it. Like eyes rolling, almost like they're on the verge of consciousness or not. Okay. What would you like to do?
Okay, we have to get Serenep out of the tower. That's what he was saying for a second before,
How are we gonna do that when the light is shining and integrity's missing?
I don't know, maybe we just avoid looking at it, just barge in.
Oh, are you gonna put blindfolds over our eyes or something? That seems counterproductive.
Yeah, maybe just shield them a little bit, walk backward, I don't know. I mean, if we're inside, maybe Philip said she's not supposed to be in there, and if being out here is doing that to them, it could be significantly worse.
I think I might have an idea. How far away is the lighthouse from the longhouse?
The lighthouse from this little beach house, this little robin's egg blue beach house, I would say maybe 80 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think probably the best way for us to get there without being in the direct line of sight of the light, I can just put you over there.
Okay.
And then I will follow suit.
Let's do it.
Yeah, when Mira, you and Winsler stand in like the foyer of this beach house. Philip kind of is rolling on the floor, and you can hear him like, light, star bright, almost like he's about to like be sick or something. The two of you can like catch a glance down at him for a second, and then look over towards the base of the tower. Winsler offers this solution to you. The red light kind of pours in through these front. The blinds are drawn, but it still pours in. They're almost like a sheer white cloth, and it kind of casts everything in this like eerie red glow. Winsler Wallaby, a spell I presume you would like to cast upon Mira
Exactly.
Marchand.
It is definitely a spell I would like to use. I am going to cast Vortex Warp on
yes.
Mira and teleport her just like near the door of the lighthouse,
Absolutely.
underneath and out of the direct line of the light.
Of course, perfectly. And that spell has the range to do that, yes?
Yes, it has a range of 90 feet.
Perfect then. You don't even need to open the door. You place a hand upon Mira, and then just a whoosh pop in the air. I believe Mira can willingly fail this if she would like to. Yes. Okay. Mira, Winsler places a little hand upon like your knee, and then with a pop and a snap, you immediately find yourself 80 feet translocated and find yourself in front of a thick door into the lighthouse. You can keep your eyes fixed forwards and pull at the knob. It gives in easily, and you can push a very heavy door open and
Perfect.
walk into the base of this tower. Winsler Wallaby, you see her enter.
Okay.
No guards preventing her ingress.
Okay, so if it's 80 feet away from me, I have to figure out a way to get there myself.
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out Mr. Wiggles from my hat. I'm gonna shake him awake. It's like, hey, I know you're you've been sleeping all day. I need your help to do something.
You see him flop onto the ground. He like does it that huge, like arched back stretch, and he's like, and we'll kind of like sit down on one of the pillows here next to Philip. He'll kind of like peer over his little cat nose down his snout at him. And he'll go, "Is he gonna die?"
I mean, I hope not, but don't worry about him. I would hold your breath, and I'm gonna, before he can even react, I'm going to cast a vortex warp on Mr. Wiggles over to where Mira was.
Perfect. Mira, right behind you, hear the quiet sounds of a cat falling out of the air. You can turn around and see a little gray cat looking alarmed and holding his breath there, standing in place. Winsler?
I'm going to, from the longhouse, I'm going to give Mr. Wiggles a thumbs up, and I'm going to swap places with him using my magic of conjuration.
By all means, you
Amazing.
translocate your own self like that with a pop and a flash. Winslow Wallaby stands in front of you. He can walk in through the doors. A cat. We get a cutaway scene of a cat landing in the beach house once again and looking all to the world confused before curling up on a pillow next to the sick-sounding Philip Maisel. Winslow Wallaby, you can shut the door behind you. The two of you stand here in silence for a couple of moments. There's shelves filled with what looks like large vats of oil, not potions, but very green glass flasks that look quite to be of an arcane nature. The two of you can recognize generally supplies down here. There's a single spiral staircase, steel, going up the center of this place, and you can hear quiet chitter and chatter coming from above.
Do you think that's Sereneth up there?
I bet we better. Do we try to be cash about it, or do we just, come in spells a-blazing and go, Sereneth, we're here to break you out?
I don't know if being stealthy has really worked out for us in the past before. Maybe we should just try going in spells blazing, maybe?
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Perfect.
I am going to prepare a spell just in case.
Yeah, what would you like to prepare?
I'm going to prepare catapult.
By all means. And what is the trigger for that? Just if you think stuff is suspicious, or
if I think something's sus, I'm launching something in
by
the
all
room.
means, you can prepare that. Mira, is there any preparations you would like to take as you can lead the way up these stairs?
Just one,
Absolutely.
which is just that I'm going to look at Winsler and be like, hey, whatever you're going to do, you've got my full support. You got this. And I'm going to give Winsler a D10 of Bardic Inspiration.
Perfect. And you two go clank, 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 walking up the stairs. Mira leading the way and Winsler swiftly behind her. Meanwhile, in a small clearing behind the 8th Blade Club, little tropical scrub surrounds you. Large looming palm trees swaying in the dark daytime wind. Integrity Idleberry. You see this dubious sailor leaning against a palm tree 10 feet away from you across this clearing. They're wearing like a dark shirt, kind of unbuttoned, a couple of buttons that you can see. It's kind of rolled up a bit. They have tall boots on, and they seem to be wearing no swords, no knives, no weapons whatsoever on their body. They seem to be completely kind of unarmed. They have their arms crossed. They have an eye patch over one of their eyes with a red X threaded across it, and the other orange eye is kind of like squinting at you appraisingly. Could you make a perception or an arcana check for me?
Yes. That was a nat 20.
Ooh.
Oh! What would you like to have rolled, arcana or perception?
Let's go with perception. 'Cause
Okay,
that
by all
makes it
means.
28.
With a 28, you can, even in this eerie red light from the lighthouse, as it spins and casts you all in tall shadows here in the brush, you can make out like a certain glossiness of their visible eye, almost as if something you would associate with, you've seen Winslow do this, sometimes you can do it with your magic. It seems that they have some sort of spell which is affecting their sensory abilities right now, specifically their vision, whether that's something like true sight or being able to see invisibility or being able to detect magic. That one is unclear to you, but you can definitely ascertain it is one of those effects. And they stare at you appraisingly with one eye.
Ahoy, matey! What is it that you wanted to talk about in the back right here, hidden away from everyone else?
I mean, if you'd like, you can drop pretenses like that.
Who am I speaking with?
Did I not introduce myself? Or I guess the young lord might not have introduced me either. I'm Rhaegar Tikal. That's the full name, but I'd wish you don't remember it all. Who am I speaking with? Because I know what I'm speaking with, and I'm quite excited to have that conversation.
I'm not really catching what you mean here. What am I?
Well, when the young lord decided to, I guess, bring the three of you on without telling anyone else, and they kind of stand up from where they were leaning against the tree, hands tucked into their front belt, and they'll kind of take two swagger-filled steps towards you in this clearing integrity. I was curious what your abilities might be, how they would stack up against my own. So I took a little look, and they flashed that orange eye towards you again, that glossy, cloudy covering over it. And they'll say, and what I found coming off of you was all too familiar.
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 Well, you see, Rhaegar, I know that you may be, some kind of magical genius, well known across...
No, I'm no magical genius. I'm no studied learner. I'm a simple bounty hunter who kills mages like you.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
And
So
your
by-
friends, and the young lord, and the princess
So,
up in her tower.
by being familiar with me, you mean that because I know I have the skill of magic that you want to kill me?
No, I don't want to kill you. Not yet. I have no reason to do that. For all intents and purposes, we might still be working together, but I don't really believe that very much. What I'm talking about is, I feel like and they take another step. You can hear the boot crunch in the sand. Cut from the same cloth, it seems, you and I.
What are you getting to?
I don't know who your pact is with,
And I nod at this.
but it stinks the same smell of the person mine's with.
So I see that people have complained about you smelling like onions before.
They do genuinely throw their head back at that one and let out a big bark of laughter. No, I can't say I've heard that one before, but I've been seen by folks before. Seen through my little illusions, ruses, deceptions.
Are you trying to connive with me?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you sort of pulled me aside away
Mm.
from everyone else in a secret area,
Mm,
in private, and you said that you didn't want to kill me yet.
it's true.
And now you're asking me very personal questions about what I am capable of. So I'm very curious if that's the reason why you're talking to me and not my other friends.
I'm interested in your patron. That's why I'm talking to you. I only do this for 2 reasons, maybe 3. Do it for coin. I don't get coin from killing you. I get coin from turning the princess and the young lord in, but I don't get coin from killing you. Yet. I'll do it for power, and that's readily available here on the island. From the island. And they almost look at the trees in like an apologetic way for a second, Integrity. And then that passes and they'll say, and third, I'd be lying if I didn't want to get my name out there. Yeah. Not the full one, mind you. That's a bit too much, but the first name, that would be great. So, my question for you again, and they step forward again, is who your patron is. Because they give off the same stink as mine, and if they're anything like them, I would like to meet them.
They're so powerful that their name even being said by these plump mouth would bring misfortune to the world. So I would rather not say their name.
Make a deception
Oh,
check.
damn.
Goodness.
Deception. How does a 16 sound?
16, they spit on the ground between the two of you and say, fine, lie if you need to. Tell me half-truths and deceptions. I've been in the same boat. I won't ask the name. And they'll put a hand out in a gesture, almost like as if they would like you to take theirs. And they'll say, "How about this? I'll show you mine if you show me yours." Children.
I'm sorry. It was Ben's
I'm
fault.
sorry.
Only out of curiosity.
Of course.
And I take their hand.
You take their hand. Integrity Idleberry. At the moment your skin makes contact with theirs, your eyes go dark. You immediately, in a sensation familiar to you, you see flashes and things that you don't quite understand. Markings on cave walls, scraping of stone, a sound of something squealing, something spinning, something rotating, and then a red light casts upon your mind, and you almost awake in a similar way to when you speak to the progenitor. You awaken in a very momentary vision in a dark cavern. You can hear the trickling of water all around you. You are bathed in a red light, and before you, almost like a bramble of sticks and twigs, all interconnected and interwoven, like in the forest when trees have fallen and been thrown for decades and decades and create almost an impenetrable barrier of wood. In the center, almost as if it's sculpted entirely around it and supporting it, is a bright red gleaming crystal. It has projections from it, very spiky looking, and a red light emanates from it. As you stand here and bask in the glow, you can kind of take in the surroundings. And this feels like a 5-second kind of thing. Integrity. You still smell the salt. You still see at the top of this cavern, there's almost like a layer of water that floats over top of it, only 20, maybe 30 feet deep, and you can see still far above stars, though all the stars from here are red and blinking, almost like when a light bulb is about to go out and it doesn't know if it wants to be on or off. Blinking lights, red stars up in the sky. As you sit here and stand here and see all these things, you hear a voice that leaks out of this crystal in front of you that says, "Ye need only ask, and the wishing star will give powers for thee of the divines. Ye need only ask." And that greasy little, like a ungreased wheel, kind of a squeaky voice carries on. And then in a moment, you are shot back into where you were in this dark, red-lit grove. Your hand pulls away from Regars as they stumble back away from you, seemingly having experienced a similar thing to you. It's almost as if no time has passed whatsoever. They put a hand to their forehead and have stumbled back. They put a hand up on one of these trees to stable themselves before falling over. Oh.
You are a patron of this island?
Yeah, to put it simple. The island's not, to put it simple. Oh, yours was, and they open their eye and they look back to you and they'll say, yours was not what I was expecting. Yours is different.
I'm telling you.
And you see them almost lick their lips and they say, it called me the aspirant one. Oh, I can hear its voice still. And they shake their head, almost like a person trying to get a ring out of their noggin. And they'll look to you with an appraising eye and will say, what was that? They almost have a smile, a very thin smile on their lips, Integrity.
You have to block it out.
No. Tell me what that was. It spoke of you, and they point at you, and they walk forwards now. Integrity, the kind of disarming swagger from before is kind of absent. This feels a bit more intimidating, a bit more aggressive in their posture. It spoke of you and said to keep you alive. It spoke of someone called the Cold One. Who is that?
The Cold One is the other half of me.
Make a deception check.
What?
That makes him whole.
Make a deception check with advantage. A bit less of a lie. Still kind of cryptic, though.
That is a 17.
17. They roll their head on their shoulder and say, no, stop it with that. We've got no time for it, okay? Oh, and they put their hand to their forehead and almost double over as if in pain, Integrity. And they'll shake their head and say, oh, the island doesn't like this. The island doesn't like this at all. Ah, How do I get this voice out of my head?
I could never get it out of my head. You wanted this.
They will look over to you and will say, "You're right, I did. The cold one." And they kind of look for a couple of seconds, quite determinedly at the ground. And they'll say, "Cold one." Lick their lips a little bit and say, "So just kill him and then I'll get my power."
Uh-oh.
It's almost like they're having a conversation with a person who's not here integrity. And you see a very brilliant, is the only way to describe it, smile across their face as they nod to themselves and they say, "As easy as that, then." They'll look over to you and say, "Princess is in the tower. Take care of her for me. I'm done here." And they will make to move and leave you in this grove integrity.
May I attack him?
Oh my god!
Ooh.
How would you like to do that? They go to walk past you,
Oh, shit.
putting their back towards you, integrity. You feel a pull at your waist as almost the jade dagger pulses, wanting you to do violence. What do you want to do?
I would like to cast Eldritch Blast on him.
Okay, go ahead and make your attack rolls as you put a hand out and conjure 3 inky blasts of eldritch energy.
Oh dear.
Does a 24 hit?
Make all your attack rolls first.
Oh, all of them, right? 'cause
Yes,
there's
and then
3.
we can determine what happens.
24.
But 24 does hit.
24, 18, and 7 plus 6.
13.
Integrity Idlebearer, you shoot these. Describe for me what it looks like when you cast Eldritch Blast.
Integrity just like summons this oily ink in her hands and then just like pow blasts it.
Point your palms out, and this inky energy shoots out towards Rhaegar, this bounty hunter. They turn their head, not fully, but almost like they heard you move behind them, and they will very quickly turn around to face you before your inky blasts hit, and they'll use their reaction, and you see them in incredible speed flick up their eye patch, revealing a dark gray eye with a red star set into it. And as they look out at you, you see the magic you have conjured fizzle and fall onto the ground as it enters an anti-magic field.
Uh-oh.
And they just stare at you and will say, "Didn't you hear me when I said I killed people like you?" They will flourish their hand integrity, and you see almost like the shadows of the trees and the grass all around you materialize into their hand as a very small sword, straight and very violent looking, conjures there. They still have their left eye, or their uncovered star-filled eye staring right at you. They'll point this sword menacingly and they will say, "I'm letting you go this time because your patron asked me to. If you attack me again," and they shake their head, right here, all alone, you won't make it out."
This is the first time Integrity's been spooked by anything. She's going to run away, stumbling, might even trip on the way.
Of course, you begin to backpedal and you turn and stumble your way through out of the bush, falling onto your knees for a second, then immediately pushing yourself up, running as fast as you can back towards that cabana, back towards anyone, back towards people, and you hear a quiet, "Easy as that," and then you hear, and then Rhaegar, you see, leaves off into the brush behind and disappears into the darkness. Integrity, as you stumble back towards the cabana, you see nothing, you see no one, you just see that red blinking light and the people staring up at it. Sereneth Cinderman, you are in the top room of this lighthouse. Red light just poured and shined into your eyes. Starlight concentrated here into your own mind, your eyes. The tender words of a doctor when Stan fell upon your ears. Go to the king. Ask for forgiveness. The light fades. You can see out from this light room now into a darkened sky. That candle set before the light piece still flickering gently as it casts a red glow throughout this room. You see the center apparatus, the reflector, spin slowly, lazily, casting you in red light and then you in darkness and then Dr. Winston in red light and then her in darkness in turn. And she stands and looks at you, this older woman, gray curled hair, a flat nose, brown skin. She walks 2 steps towards you and she goes, Lady Cinderman, are you all right there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, come here. Come to me quickly. And she will make a gesture with her hand. Sarah, your head feels light. Any thoughts feel sluggish. The feeling you have if you've stayed up too long, right? If you've stayed up, pulled an all-nighter, and then tried to keep going through the day, and that kind of like sluggish lethargy just washes over your being. You can stumble forwards towards her if you would like.
I think a part of Sereneth somewhere very deep down is like, hey, we shouldn't be doing this. Can I try to fight this?
To fight that? Yeah, absolutely you can do that, Sereneth Cinderman. In fact, it comes very easily, this time at least, to you, as you stand firm, as she says, come here, come to me. And then as you stand there, Sereneth, that part of your brain that's saying, no, we should not do that, is overshadowed for a moment by an incredible pain. As you take 34 psychic damage, your head rings and you almost drop to your knees and you hear Dr. Winston tut and she goes, don't try that. You'll just hurt yourself. Please. And she kneels down and she walks over to you and kneels down, Sereneth, and she goes, trust me here and now, Lady Cinderman. I'm only doing this to help you. Let me see your eyes. Let me make sure that it's all worked properly, please.
Sereneth will look up to the good Dr. Winston.
Yeah, absolutely. You see her. She looks almost saintly, Sereneth. A red glow around her head, a very caring expression on her face, almost a slight smile, old laugh lines visible on her old face. She'll reach out 2 little fingers and begin to pull your eyelids open and just examine your eyes very carefully, the left first and then the right, and then she will herself rise with some difficulty and offer you a hand and say, please, Lady Cinderman, you should sit down after such a procedure. Let's go downstairs. We can talk further about this. No doubt you are filled with questions. Your Mr. Maisel was of a similar condition, though by the state of your eyes, I feel as though he took it upon him easier. And she will lead you towards the staircase, Sereneth Cinderman. She will make you walk down first. You can clink, clink, clink down to this kind of living area and sit on a bench. She follows down after you, altogether looking very concerned for your well-being. That's what your brain is telling you. She's concerned for how we're doing right now, Sereneth. She cares about us more than anyone cares about us. She's looking out for us when no one else is. There's a voice that's not yours, nor is it Dr. Winston's speaking that into the back of your head. It's almost a squeaky little greasy voice. As you sit here, she goes to a bookshelf, grabs a few flasks of an unknown liquid, and will walk back towards you, mix them in a cup, and not offering them to you, drinking it herself. It smells a bit putrid, very perfumed, and she drinks it very quickly, and then shakes her head. And then she'll turn her attention to you. And still from above, through that staircase, you can see the red light drifting down, but it's less in here. And instead, the room is cast in a very dark shadow. She'll look at you with a very subtle gentleness on her face and will say, we might have to repeat this procedure once or twice, just for everything to take. You're all right with that, correct, Lady Cinderman?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Good. Yes, there's certain enchantments that we must make more permanent before you're to be let out into the wider world. You'll stay here for some time as our honored guest, as many have stayed before you. And she turns away from you now and will walk over towards one of the windows and kind of looks out. You see her staring essentially down at those sailors, enamored by the light. I might have to replace them soon. They're growing far too fond of this place. You know, young Maisel took to this quite well. His mind felt malleable in a way that no others have. I'm uncertain of it, though. He seems more volatile than I would want to release, but Rhaegar spoke me into it, talked me into it, the whole thing.
So, how, like, looking out into the darkness, like,
Yeah.
how long were we upstairs?
Oh, only moments, my dear girl. Only moments it takes. And on a night such as this, when stars are in full bloom, only a moment is needed for such an effect as this. And she looks out and she goes, we'll have to wait a week or two before them to ripen once more, before we can repeat the procedure. But in the meantime, we can discuss how to make your plea to the king when you return. As you will, my dear girl, be returning to the court to, on best behavior, request atonement from our good King Frederick. Yes? You'll not, and she walks towards you now and will put a hand on your shoulder, you'll not mention me, my name, this island, or anyone you've met while here, other than young Mr. Maisel. And by no means, and she whispers this into your ear very quietly, Sereneth, will you raise a hand against me. Do you hear me, young Lady Cinderman?
Yes.
Pleasant, then. Oh, so much more pleasant than previous guests. Mr. Maisel lied through his teeth every time I asked. Your former betrothed in his stay here, simpler than any other guests I've had, but his will seemed made of iron, and it took weeks and weeks of direct exposure before he took a liking to your face. Like a shark to blood, some might say.
Wait,
But that's neither here nor there.
Jeez.
I think in her mentioning Frederick, I think we'll look at her and be like, what did you just do to me?
Just a simple enchantment, nothing of the like. Ever before seen outside this island. It's a special place, I said to you. Nowhere else do the stars ripen to such quality. Nowhere else are the sands baked with so much magic. This is a special place, built to keep special people under the thumb of the crown, as I'm sure you understand. Mir Marchand, Windsor Wallaby. Clink, clink, clink. Your feet clank against this steel stairway. You hear a quiet conversation going on upstairs. You hear the mention of this last part of this conversation. Oh, when your former betrothed was here, you hear Sereneth, what did you do to me? And you hear this final piece from the good doctor. And then clink, 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 Sereneth Cinderman you hear coming from the stairwell. Dr. Winston also turns and looks over her shoulder towards it, and one Mira Marchand with Windsor Wallaby in tow
Burst through the door.
burst through into this room. Silence palpable, almost as if you can all hear your heartbeats rise into your necks. You all see this. You two heard this in the street or in the stairs. Serenep, you see your friends standing there, but your mind is oh so foggy.
What did you do with Serenep?
She raises her face in a very noble response, Winsler, and she goes, the two of you are very much uninvited in being here.
As she's speaking and says uninvited, I'm going to use the prepared catapult to launch the glass that she was drinking on the table right at her.
And I believe she'll have to make a dexterity saving throw?
Yes.
I would like to run over to Sereneth as this is happening. Check up on her.
Absolutely. You can do so, Mira. She's 3 feet away. You run or hustle very quickly forwards, put a hand on her shoulder.
And I did hear the part where they said that they put an enchantment on her, right?
Yes. You can very easily see there's a sparkle of starlight in Serenep's eyes, despite the darkness in this room. Windsor Wallaby, she says, uninvite, and you point at one of this crystal glass she had been holding, and it flies through the air. It cracks her, I believe a 9 does not save, yes?
No, a 9 does not save.
Cracks her against the temple. You see her fall backwards. You hear a very sick sound of someone's head cracking against the foot of a bed, and then you see a dead body lying there on the ground.
Oops.
What the hell? No, there's no way. Can Mira, Mira was going to be checking up on Serenep. Can Mira,
Yes.
take a look at, because I have seen Winsler cast Feign Death. I
Yes.
don't think this would be enough to kill a person.
Of course.
Is there anything that I can do to just, examine it?
a medicine check?
Medicine
And you would
check.
you can walk over to the body as well.
Okay, well... Oh my god, you killed her! I say
Oops.
because I rolled a nat 1 + 2.
Holy shit!
She is very much dead. There's a small trickle of blood on her temple and on the back of her head, Mira. She is not breathing at all.
I mean, I wasn't intending it for her to be. I was not expecting that. I mean,
No, I mean, you're fine, but holy shit!
how's Serenep?
Okay.
How's Serenep?
Yeah, Serenep, hang on, I can help. Let me just help you out here, okay?
I'm going to guard the door.
I think
Yes,
Serenep
absolutely.
is
You can,
just.
Windsor, you walk over to the small hatch and slam it shut, and you can stand on it even as much as that might help. Sarah, what's going on here? You just saw the good doctor murdered in cold blood. Your friends have just
I
run
think
in
that
here.
blood was pretty hot.
I think from like you mentioned, the lethargency of the light.
Yes.
That whole thing. I think Sarah starts crying and says, I looked at the light. I looked at the light. I don't know why I looked at the light, but I did. I have to go. I have
It's
to.
okay, it's okay. Let me help. And Mira is going to cast the spell, Dispel Magic.
Dispel.
I don't think Mira
magic.
would know specifically what spell this is, so I think she would be casting it at 3rd level here, because I don't think that Mira would have, the meta-knowledge of the spell level. I think this is Chaos, I don't know. But Mira does not have that spell, I would not assume she knows it. Which means I would have to make, I believe, an ability I'm assuming that's what it is.
Mira Marchand,
You
what
tell
does it
me.
look like when you cast Dispel Magic?
I think...
You walk over to Sarah, everything's okay.
I like to imagine that as I'm plucking on the strings of my lyre, it's almost as if I am pulling a thread of thought out of Serenep's head. Like I'm plucking at these invisible strings as though I were plucking,
Yes.
and I'm just pulling
I'm
out.
imagining the fates from Hercules
Yes,
pulling on
very
a little
similar.
thread from the air.
Yes.
Yes. You reach out, you pluck at your strings, and then you reach out towards Serenep's temple and you grab a little red string out of the air. It materializes as your fingers touch it and begin to pull it. Can you make a charisma check?
Yeah. Does this include proficiency? I always
It
forget.
just says using your
Spell.
spell casting modifier.
Yeah, spellcasting ability.
Yeah, just an ability check. Straight up charisma.
Okay. Yes, it does not have proficiency. Okay, that'll be +5 then. That is a 19 + 5. That is 24.
That's a spectacular result. Mira, you grab this little red thread and you pull it, and it's almost as if it's a foot long, and you pull it, it unwinds from around Serenep's head where it was constricting her. Serenep, you feel like the lightness from your head fade away and the fog peel back, and every single thing that has happened in the last 20 minutes just becomes crystal clear. Mira, you take this thread, and as soon as it is removed from around Serenep's head, it flickers and disappears into a magical dust falling to the ground as you successfully dispel this magic.
Are you okay? Did it work? Are you
hurt or?
Oh, my head. I feel fine. I was told. Do I still have the urge? I can't talk about this, or
No, absolutely not. Nothing exists. Nothing remains.
She talked about how she was helping Philip and it was working, and then she invited me up to the tower, and the light was just so bright, and then she was talking about how I had to go back to the capital to beg forgiveness, and I tried to, and then she asked me to go towards her. I didn't. It hurt to not do what she said, and then we came down here, and that's when you guys showed up.
Oh, it's like what they did to Alma with the resurrection. Okay, that makes holy shit, Serenep. I am so sorry. Philip seemed to break out of it for a couple seconds, but it seems like he's under it. I mean, it seems like everyone's under it. They were all thinking about the light. Okay, we maybe we just grab integrity and dip, right? We just get everybody out of here.
Mira, you say this. You're back to the windows and looking at Winsler standing in the middle of this room, Sarah sitting at that table, shook, and tears quickly showing up and drying on her eyes as she mourns the dead doctor, and then does not need to mourn the dead doctor any longer. The two of you see Mira the moment she says, grab integrity and get out of here. there's been a pale light shining through the staircase above you all, but not enough to like really illuminate this room. But the moment Mira says that, behind her, it's almost as if the entire sky turns into a scarlet red, almost like a beacon has been turned on, almost like the sunlight has come back on, but it is a deep and dark red. It casts all of you in a eerie glow. You hear cracking and snapping and the sliding of a person's body on the ground. And you can all, Mira, you can turn around very quickly and look at the good doctor's body. Winsler and Serenith, you can see this from where the two of you are positioned. She puts a hand onto the bed where she cracked the back of her head and starts to pull herself up. Mira, she looks to you and her neck turns far enough that you can hear cracking of like her vertebrae. And she'll look at you. Her eyes are deep and dark, a fathomless darkness. And in a voice that is unlike the one that she was speaking, she will say, "You've killed my conduit. You've come and killed the vessel of my power."
Oh, really?
Zombie!
The eyes pull back. The red light glows. You see, begins to lift up into the air, levitating 2 or 3 inches above the ground, her toes drooping downwards and body hanging almost like a puppet, inanimate. And she will say, This realm, this place. You hear her hyperventilating, this creature speaking through her, hyperventilating. This place, this was a mistake. We need to leave. We need to leave. And this screech emanates. All of you make Constitution saving throws, please.
Fuck.
As the windows all around you smash and shards of glass fly, and this screech rings in your ears.
5.
Is it just the 3 people in the room?
It is just the 3 people down there in the room. Yes,
that is
Integrity.
5.
A 5 from Mira Marchand.
Is this a shrieker?
I got a 23.
A 23, okay.
I can add the Bardic Inspiration.
Bardic
to this,
Inspiration, that is correct.
Nice.
Right? Well, fuck. It didn't help at all.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was a 14 total.
A 14 total. Serenith, this scream emits, and it's the voice that you had heard speaking in the back of your head, that greasy, squeaky little voice. You immediately slam your hands over your ears, and you avert the worst of the damage. Mira Marchand in Winsler Wallaby, this large shriek rings out. The two of you are thrown to the ground and have the deafened condition as you only hear ringing in your ears. Everyone, or rather, Mira and Winsler, you're going to be taking 26 thunder damage. Meanwhile, Serenith, you'll be taking 13 thunder damage.
Half my health, dude.
Dude!
You are knocked onto the ground. Mira, you are thrown back away and like slammed onto the ground next to where Serenith is. Serenith, you're still seated at this table. All the furniture pushes away. You see the form of the good doctor float up and begin to float out of this now broken apart windows. Shattered glass rains down onto the floor and out elsewhere, and this red light pours in from the now gaping holes in the structure. Integrity, Idleberry, down on the ground level, you rush away from that cove, running from Rhaegar with fear in your mind, and run back to the cabana. You catch your breath for a second and look around for your friends. You do not see any of them. You can push your way through these people and look around and maybe see if they're inside, and you just didn't see them, and you can be looking around. You can walk out into like the gravel field in the midst of the longhouse and the beach house and this cabana and the large lighthouse above, and you see coming from the lagoon inside of the island, almost an instant, Integrity, a giant beam of red light shoots up from the water of the lagoon in the center of this island and casts everything in a shadowless kind of red light. You stop and you can turn and look over your shoulder, Moments later, you hear a screech from up in the lighthouse. You hear the shattering of windows, and you can look up again in fright, not knowing what is happening right now, being quite confused and afraid, and you see the levitating body of an old woman in a lab coat floating out into open air. You then very quickly, Integrity, see all the people, all the sailors around you. You hear gurgled, gasping breaths, and people grip at their throats, and then they will fall onto their knees, onto the ground. People fall out of chairs in great heaps, and you hear suffocating sounds of these people, eyes rolling in their sockets. Did you want to do anything right now?
The fact that it seems like the epicenter is this tower, I would like to start moving towards it, look for a familiar face if there's any.
Absolutely. Integrity, seeing all of this chaos begin, you very quickly begin to run for the tower. You run, lifting your feet so as not to step on any of these fallen sailors. Does a 19 meet your AC?
It does.
As you exit through the threshold of this little cabana, trying to run as fast as you can, you feel a grasping hand around your ankle, and it almost stops you in your place, and you can turn very quickly, trying to pull your ankle free, and you can see it's one of these sailors here, and they're looking up at you. Their head seems to be, the skin's like bubbling, like a hot dog in a microwave, and you can see it changing and morphing, and is almost becoming long, elongated. It almost looks like the head of a fish, and their hands grow. You can see scales growing along the skin, and this is almost a chain reaction of sorts as the countless sailors, probably like 25 sailors here on the ground of the cabana. You can see all of them taking on different aquatic shapes. Someone looks like a swordfish, others as squids. You see the person in front of you, their head widens, large teeth grow in their mouth as the maw of a shark takes the place of their humanoid head, and they will try to attack you next time on Trials and Trebuchets.
Holy
What the
shit.
fuck?
That was a fucking eventful thing.
Holy shit.
Ben, could you give us an outro?
Sure. What the fuck is going on? There's fish people now. Hope you all enjoyed this hectic episode of Trials and Trebuchets. If you did, please leave a rating and a review on our Apple Podcast page or wherever you get your podcaster of choice. It would really help us out a lot. We don't do any paid advertising for the show, so word of mouth is how we get around. Please share it with everybody that you want to listen to it, and give us all 5 stars. Please, 5 stars. We also have a social media page, Instagram, @TrialsandTrebs. You can check out some cool things such as teasers for upcoming episodes, artwork that gets posted by our lovely Sam and other people. If you have fan art that you want to share with us, please tag us with it.
Tag us.
Please tag us.
it's
love
so cool
seeing
to
the
see
fan
art.
art. I love it. It's so cool. We also have a link to our Discord server in the description below. You can join up to our lovely little TNT community on Discord and have lots of cool conversations with lots of cool people. It's really fun.
Yes,
It's a nice,
it is
homely
fun.
little community. For those who are looking to provide some additional support, we also have a Patreon. We have a variety of different tiers that give you lots of different goodies, such as blooper reels, maps, DM notes, the potential to have an NPC show up on the show as well. That's
by
a
all
very cool
means.
one. And last but not least, we also have a special merch store.
Wow, merchandise. At a
Yeah,
time
you
like
can
this?
find it at www.trebmerch.com.
Oh my god, Trebmerch.com?
Trebmerch.com.
How do you spell
We've
that?
got lots of cool stuff there, like t-shirts, and we got stickers. Lots of like memorable stickers of important things from the show.
Anyways, go check that out. Go check out everything Ben told you to check out. And tune in next week for some more nautical
Nonsense.
horror, I suppose. Until next time, see ya.
Bye, everybody.
Nautical.